Yet again, it is time for Rodney and Alfie Talk Metal. And we're going to talk some metal. We're going to recommend some stuff. And it's mandatory. You don't get a choice. You listen to the
Mandatory
podcast.
listening.
Yes, you take our marching orders. We are your captains of this metal ship. I am one half of the commanding crew, and my name is Rodney McGee, which you can find on YouTube. Of course, on my own channel, Rodney McGee, or Rodney and Alfie Talk Metal on the main YouTube page. The second half of the crew is...
That'd be me, Alfie Williams, and you will find me also on YouTube by typing in which bass, and that's the question, which, not the old hag with the pointy hat and pointy nose. Which bass?
Yeah, I think that would be a way to go. You totally need to do your next video all like black pointy hat.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Like I met a friend of a friend last week, and I told her about my channel because she plays bass too, and she might even be listening. So hi. She's like, "Oh, is that which like the pointy hat?" No. So it's starting to spread, Rodney. You're propagating this into the universe now.
Yes. I am your Svengali. But so for this week, I think because summer's usually a time when people are out and doing stuff, or for some reason we just associate it with having more fun or just waking up and getting off the couch. Each of our top 5 picks for what we're going to be jamming this summer. And yeah, albums to be the soundtrack to your wonderful memories. So I guess I'll dive in with the first of my 5 picks, and I will explain why I picked them too. But
sounds good.
My first one is going to be from the band Nails, and it is "You Will Never Be One of Us." I love the sentiment, as we know from past podcasts, and I like when an album will disprove something for me. And, you know, we've talked a lot about how there just isn't the honesty of intensity or fury going on, or at least up to, you know, what I think it is. And things have gotten a little processed, that you cannot fake some aggression, and there ain't no faking. You Will Never Be One of Us. It is a pure blast of absolute vitriol. And it just, I mean, if you don't have any coffee in the morning, put that song on. It's like 2 minutes long. The day has begun. It is.
Is that the band with the jacked up dude with the massive tree trunk neck?
Yes.
They got like a, not beige, but the dark tinted video and like a hall.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, you showed me that. Yeah, that's fucking intense.
Yeah, and like I said, for me, just, you know, getting outside and going to town on stuff, or even just driving a long distance, heading out on a road trip or something, that's the thing I want, making sure my foot is absolutely pressed to the bottom. But yeah, I love that intensity, and that's the stuff that, you know, I've been howling about. So good band, good energy, do not give a shit attitude, and yeah, just kind of that reckless abandon that I think is missing, and kind of what you want when the days get longer and you're going to go out and be a buffoon about some stuff and maybe have a few drinks while you're at it. So absolutely, some Nails will fit the bill.
Yeah, that's a pretty intense choice for hanging out, because like you said, they're pretty, you know, high energy. I haven't heard the rest of the album, but the single, what was it? You'll Never Be One of Us. You showed me that single a little while ago. And yeah, it's just pure aggression. And I'm surprised that it's the sound of a Stingray. Like, I've never seen anyone sound like that on a Stingray before. Did you notice that?
Not really, but I don't know. Sometimes I've given up, especially when I see a video, looking at the gear and going, "Oh, it sounds like that," because half the time you find out it's not what they used anyway. So,
oh, don't say that, Rodney. That's half my YouTube career based on looking at music videos, for fuck's sake.
I know.
Just torpedo my career. Christ.
That's yeah, I think it's pretty much like if I had a manifesto, that would be
Torpedo in my
getting
career.
yeah, just torpedoing your career.
Oh, for fuck's sake, great.
What's Rodney's thing? Well, you meet him, he torpedoes your career. That's what he does. And he does it while listening to Nails. You will know.
Well, it just ain't fair. I'm doing my best over here with what I got.
Well, speaking of what you got on deck?
Yeah, okay, what have I got? I'm going to kind of do it out of order. You mentioned like listening to music while driving. For me, music has a weird place in my life, and I think most of the time it's very spontaneous. Like I don't think about when I'm going to listen to music; it just sort of happens, which is a very strange way to put it. So, generally speaking, I have been and will be listening to Mudvayne, and I think I've said this before about some new metal bands. I came to Mudvayne quite late. I heard Happy and Falling Into Sleep when it came out. And I like those songs. They're very good songs, but I never got into the band. And I think I told you, I've been doing a video on Ryan Martini, so I've been all in the discography. And for me, LD50 is pretty cool. The next one, I should know this, is the end of something.
All Things to Come.
Yes, that one, and then Lost and Found. I like those three albums. I think they're the strongest of Mudvayne's catalog, and I just kind of bounce from one to the other. Yeah, so I'm playing those when I feel like it, if I'm like around the house or whatever, that kind of thing. And there's quite a lot of variation. You have a lot of the aggression from the first album, LD50, and then some of the more, I don't want to say sing-song, but more radio-friendly Mudvayne stuff on the later, third album. I'm not a fan of the later bits of the catalog. I think they're a bit too rock and roll, I guess, modern for that, the time they came out, which was like 2006, 7, 8, and 9, that sort of stuff I'm not into. But I'd like to see how they sound now with the reunion stuff. I haven't watched anything that hasn't. All of the stuff that's come out from the YouTube channel seems a bit too engineered. It's too clean. It's too produced. So I'd just like to see them a bit more naturally, if that makes sense. So yeah, sure. Generally speaking, Mudvayne has been filling my ears. 20 years too late. That's bloody normal, but I'm on it now. It's cool. I'm into it.
All right then. Yeah, I go through phases with them. I think it's kind of a thing where they're definitely, at least for me, part of a certain mindset or a mood. Like if I'm in a certain groove and I'm listening to a few different bands, Mudvayne will be in that cluster. Mm-hmm. The funny thing is I find it very dependent on how I feel about Chad Gray at the time.
Okay.
He is very, especially on LD50, which I listen to the most. He has a very distinctive delivery that he does. And it kind of is pulled from, some of the new metal thing of like the breathy, desperate type of thing, and then into the yelling and that type of stuff. And I have to be able to withstand a little bit of that emo edge to something, which I'm not always good at tolerating. So
never.
Hey, I'm sensitive, and
I knew you were gonna say that.
It triggers me. I have flashbacks to when I wasn't picked first for dodgeball, and
do you need a safe space right now?
I do.
Okay.
Can you put on?
Clear the room. Yeah. Can we have the room, guys?
Can you put on some nails? But yeah, so I mean, solid choice. I could see that, them having something interesting to listen to, but still be kind of driving stuff. I think it fits a very metal summer type of thing.
What's your take on, everywhere I look on, I guess, the comments for their videos, people always say LD50 changed my life. LD50 is the best new metal album ever. And there's a lot of people saying it's the best metal album, period, which is, nonsense. But why do you think LD50 has the most weight with fans, that it has that emotional response from people? Because I listen to it, I like it, but I wouldn't I wouldn't say it's unique or special. It's just very good.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I do know, but I don't know about that part of it. I think one is people are always going to become attached to their introduction to something. So you have that. I happen to like LD50 the best. I think if you were a kid who came up on new metal, see, this is, we're going to go back into almost the glam metal
Hmm.
conversation. I don't consider Mudvayne new metal. It doesn't have any of the hallmarks of new metal to me. They are way more technically proficient. They play more than the open note hammered onto the second fret
Yeah.
back and forth all the time. I mean, I would not put even, I'm trying to think of a band that might have like a even vaguely similar overall tone, but like I would not put Mudvayne and Cold Chamber in the same place.
No.
Uh, even vocal style. See, to me, that's kind of what I'm my earlier point about the vocals. Like Chad Gray can lean into Cold Chamber's style of vocal a little bit, and that's what, yeah, I'm not always a fan of. But I mean, listening to Martini and the drums and the polyrhythms going on and stuff that they did, how the hell you call that new metal? I mean, it violates all the functional, stripped down, not being good musician, basically, type of stereotype of it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put them in that pen. So I think for especially new metal kids, having a band that came out that had the kind of attitude or look of new metal or kind of the craziness with the early, the makeup and all that type of stuff, but then kick down the door with some real chops and some, odd times and things like that and kind of non-conventional arrangements that may have been a lot of their introduction into, wait, you mean there's more than something than the same goddamn Godsmack groove over and over again,
Right.
Uh, and yeah, I think they were a little more raw on that album. And yeah, like I'd have to say it's my favorite out of them.
Okay.
It's a bit more primal,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it probably all those elements together. I could be wrong. I never am.
No, I understand where you're coming from, and I just sort of wanted to hear another opinion. I mean, yourself, you can't really take YouTube comments at face value. So yeah, it's interesting to hear it in that perspective. And maybe there is quite a lot of nostalgia in that package as well.
Mhm.
I think that's doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Well, that's not fair, no, because like you said, they are proficient as musicians. I totally agree. Yeah, so maybe it's just these elements of nostalgia, really good musicians, catchy songs, and all of that stuff all together that just works well in their favor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's probably a good way to sum it up.
Mm.
Let's see. So for my second choice, this is going to be on the complete opposite end of things, but I picked this band and this album because I like it when someone can fool me.
Okay.
So when somebody would recommend, or if somebody were to recommend this band to me and they described it, I know how they would describe it and I would hate all of it. I could be like, okay, they do a lot of long instrumental stuff that has like 8 and 9 string guitars, and they do low tuning stuff, and it's a lot of really complicated rhythms, and then these ambient parts. I just instantly, the gent alarm would just start going off, and I'd be like, oh God, no, no, I can't take it. No more gent clones. I can't do it. And I would never give it a listen. Thankfully, I didn't get that and stumbled onto the band. But I would go with Night Verses from the Gallery of Sleep.
Okay.
As far as innovation, these guys have an incredibly distinct thing going on. And it's hard for me to get across because, yeah, it's 8, 9 string guitars. It's whammy pedal and heavy effects on the guitars. There's ambient pieces, absolutely insane technical parts and things, but they just do it better and different. You know, that they took those elements and actually did something with it instead of just doing the same damn, you know, I really want to be Periphery so bad I'll sacrifice my dignity for it kind of thing that goes on. There's soundscapish parts, there's really heavy parts, all having this kind of aggressive but dark vibe to it. Really like that band, and I think the drummer is, my prediction for this guy is he's going to become the heir apparent to the Neil Peart crown.
Okay, wow.
I think he is, as far as there's elements that go into me when I name somebody like the top of something.
Yeah.
And it can't just be about like technique or speed. Like, yeah, chops are great and it's cool and everything, but you have, if you're just doing what everybody else does and it's just fast, that's, you know, that's just not there. When you have incredible technique, but you do stuff I haven't heard before, when I listen to it and for a minute, like I can't figure it out. Like you play something and I go, I don't even know what the hell he just did there. It was just so fucking bananas. That guy does this. I could, if I just wanted to sit down and, you know, I didn't care about the music, but just wanted to be blown away by basically, I mean, the guy solos the entire song. It's unbelievable. He can groove, but turn simple grooves into these complex things where he's rolling off of hi-hats and multiple cymbals at the same time as hitting ghost strokes on his snare and matching what he's doing on the ride with his feet. And I'm going like, again, I'm astounded how complicated he does this, and it never seems overplayed. It's ridiculously played, but I'm like, that fits this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's really gotten to be prominent. Like, I think he like sat in with Korn or something, and he's had like a lot of big name people kind of go, this is the dude. And yeah, I think he's, you know, young. I think he's really becoming that guy that's going to be like 10 years down the road, people just going, this is the guy who's breaking a new generation of thinking as far as drums go. And,
that's really impressive to hear.
Yeah.
As you know, I don't really have my ear to the ground in terms of what's up and coming and trendy. So I've never heard of this band before. And I've kind of, I'll go back to the band, but I watched, oh God, there's a documentary on Netflix about drumming. Can't remember what the hell it's called now. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
Oh, Count Me In? I think it's called Count Me In.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fine, serviceable documentary. But the only problem is it's full of like the older guys and no one really fresh and new. So to hear a new up and coming drummer that might be on his way to getting into that space is great. It's nice to hear new musicians coming up the ranks. That's something I would look out for. So that's interesting to hear. The band itself, yeah, the way you describe it doesn't sound like something I'd be interested in. Mm-hmm. But now you've got me interested. So I think I'm going to be in the same boat as you, the same reaction. Like, no, this ain't for me. But it sounds interesting. Is this what spurred on your use of the whammy pedal recently?
It wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, my use of the whammy pedal has gone, as always, through like this weird circuitous route of stuff. I will give a shout out to somebody. My use of the whammy pedal actually goes back, oh God, I'm going to sound like a mummy. Almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
When you know, like I said, I got to Musicians Institute young, came off touring, that type of thing. And when I went in, there was a guy named Dale Titus, who I'm still friends with, who was one of the teachers there. He was actually my private counselor there. And one day you know, he used to try and do different sounds and really interesting and innovative bassist. I've mentioned him on my channel before, but he came in one day with one of the original whammy pedals and was like, that you need to try things like this, you know, and he did this bass solo doing like slapping and hitting this and just dialing in that whammy pedal. And I just sat there going like what in the hell is this? And, you know, every once in a while I'd hear one again and go like, I got to look into one of those things, man. And then all these versions came out, blah, blah, blah. And then somehow it got on my radar again. And they said that the bass version had gone into version 2 and that one was better. And it was also, I had been considering the Digitech drop pedal.
Yes.
Because one of the things I'm experimenting with is not using so much a detune pedal to either for effect or for like a consistent, like, oh, I'm going to transpose my bass for this song, but being able to play a song and I can add a part that's in a different key.
Right.
And play it in the same position that might be out of the range of my instrument just for a minute and be able to just stomp that on and do something that's almost impossible for someone else to replicate. And I feel like that's an open field.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's when I started looking at it, and I realized with the bass whammy, I could get these wild effects that I still remember from this dude, and then still also get the detune effects. I was like, all right, I'm in. And if you're going to check out my channel, there is a 1 minute and 19 second song where you can hear me really going overboard with the whammy. So, but Night Versus also apparently big fans of the whammy pedal. So
brilliant. Night Versus. I'll be checking that out.
Yeah.
Thank you for the recommendation. Wait, are they a new band? Like,
no, been around for a little bit. And that's not a new album either, but I stumbled on it recently. The other thing I find interesting about them is I admire that they kind of evolved backwards. They originally
evolved.
Yeah, well, they put out a couple albums and they had a vocalist, and I wasn't as much a fan.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that the vocalist made them sound too similar to other prog because it's that very, you know, I just didn't dig the dude. And then when the Gallery of Sleep came out, they just went instrumental.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I feel like a lot of bands start more obscure and instrumental, and then they get a vocalist, and then they get more acceptable. They went the opposite direction and got more popular when they went instrumental. And I was like, instrumental metal, and this is where you're doing the best. Good for you, man. That's the total backwards trip.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I need to look into this a bit more because just from my initial thoughts, maybe they feel like they prefer doing the instrumental stuff. Their fans dug it and they realize they don't need to conform to a typical band setup. So yeah, that's just really interesting to hear.
Yeah.
And I think we touched on it before. Like, do what you want to do. Don't worry about entertaining the general masses of audience. Do what you want to do to, you know, make the music your heart desires. I think we've done something like that before.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good to hear. Yeah, I totally see where you're coming from.
I mean, like hitting his sticks over the mic to create little flicks and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, who does that? So yeah, I watched this guy solo and things on drum offs, and it's just, he's out of his mind.
It's funny, like seeing this, because in my mind, I mentioned this before, when I was an audio engineer, drummers are a pain in the ass, right? They only have 2 volumes, on or off. There is no in between. There's no dynamics. Most drummers, okay, some of them were professional enough to give a bit of room with dynamics and, you know, let the vocalist have a bit of breathing space and play with their dynamics. But 9 times out of 10, most drummers are just full on all the time, no breaks. Mm-hmm. So to see a drummer play into dynamics and do weird stuff and just make room for the other instruments and the other band members is so refreshing to see. It's brilliant.
That's the irony. He's playing like all over the fucking place, but there
I
is
know.
room,
Yeah.
you know? And so when people talk about overplaying, it's like, no, that's bullshit. You're just playing badly.
I believe that. Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing living proof of it.
So, but anyway, I guess we'll dive back into this part. So,
Mm.
well, so that's my second choice. What's on yours?
I have a classic. I talk about this album all the time. It's Reinventing Hell, the best of Pantera. And for me, this album, it serves a purpose for me. I've mentioned in the past that music for me is more of a tool. I use it when I'm trying to write scripts and research things. It's trying to get me into a mood. And this album, I use other stuff, but this album specifically helps me physically with exercise. It's it's the perfect tempo for exercise. It's like 120, 130 beats a minute. Perfect for me. You know, I'm a pretty slow person, and it's great for jogging, and it's great. I listen to it and have done every day for years. And when I'm doing the rounds on my exercise, and I will be listening to this over the summer. There's no way about it. I can't listen to anything else when I exercise. It's just it goes from Cowboys from Hell to Domination. I can't remember the track listing now, which is
Listen
really
to it
embarrassing.
every day.
Yeah. Well, I zone in and out. That's the thing. I don't know. Like sometimes your body's in the right groove and you're with it and you're following the drum beats, and then the rest of it, you're like, what am I doing this afternoon? So I don't know. Yeah, but this is just a quick and easy one for me. Pantera. I like Pantera. And it works for me on so many levels. A new level, maybe even. It works on exercise. You missed the joke. A new level. It
Oh,
works.
I got the joke, Alfie. I got it.
Torpedo in my career, not laughing at my jokes. Man, I'm up against fucking hell today. Listen, I know you need to go out of town, back to Los Angeles. You can't take it out on your co-host.
You're within range. It's, there's the Rodney Blast radius. But I get that. I mean, I think Pantera fits into that. How can I say? Well, one, having, a groove overall, it does make itself a good soundtrack for things that just are pacing.
Mm-hmm.
And being a bit, at least early on, they had the classic feel a bit more, that type of thing. It's just that straight ahead type of thing that you can listen to it, but not have to listen.
Mm.
It is a bit of audio wallpaper, it
Yeah.
just hangs there and sets a tempo for what you're doing. So it's a solid choice for that type of thing. Sure.
It's old reliable. It's an old one, but a good one. I don't know about you, but I'm usually an album person. I like listening to albums rather than individual songs or a playlist. And I could never really get on board with a single Pantera album, but for some reason, this compilation, perfect for me. I love it. I just think it's great. So yeah, it's an old reliable for me.
I think my next one is a little similar. It's actually two albums, but same artist, and for me, just two of them that deliver. Armored Saint.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had like a deep affection for the album Raising Fear. It's classic metal. It's, I love John Bush. I love Joey Vera. Dave Pritchard was an amazing guitar player. And it's classic metal, but a rougher version of it.
Mm-hmm.
They had grit. Like when you listen to it, you hear sweat. And
Right.
That type of thing. And then the other album being Revelation, which, I know a lot of people like Symbol of Salvation and stuff. It's a good album. I felt it was Armored Saint a little more polished.
Mm-hmm.
And then, kind of went off on some other stuff. And of course, then John Bush went to Anthrax and stuff. But when they came back with Revelation, there's a couple of songs on it, like After Me, The Flood, The Pillar, and it's just again that good, one, two, three, four, one kind of pace of things. And it's almost like a fast walk type of thing. And John Bush just grinding his voice to those songs, man. You gotta love that kind of just grit, and it's stripped down, no bullshit, classic, metal with you smell nothing but sweat and old beer with it. And that to me, like those albums are something I can listen to totally anytime. Like if I just can't figure out something to put on one of those and I'm going to love it. And I actually just got, because I've started buying again after talking, a big game about material and everything. I picked up the reissue of Raising Fear on red vinyl.
Through. Awesome.
Yeah, and it's just great, man. Dropping the needle on that again like I used to and stuff. It was like, yes, my cat is not going to enjoy this.
I think it's comforting to have like an album you can always go back to that ticks all the boxes. I don't want to sound too what's the right word for that? Too emotional about it. Yeah, nostalgic and too comforted about these sorts of things. But it's just nice to have an album that ticks all the boxes and won't let you down. It's reassuring, especially like you said, if you're not sure what to listen to. Mm-hmm. And you might be paralyzed by choice and that kind of thing. Yeah. Just to have something that's there when you need it, that's useful. And like I said, I've tried other music to exercise to or whatever, but Pantera is just comforting to me, and so I totally know where you're coming from.
Yeah, I think everybody has that though. It's that leather jacket that's finally fits you perfectly after all those years, or the t-shirt that has a hole here or there, but for some reason it's just like it's the most comfortable tour t-shirt you've ever had, or the jeans that they just fit and work. So everybody has that, but those Armored Saint records for me they're just that mark. They're right in the middle, and they just fit no matter what. So
one more thing before we move on to the next recommendation. I went out. Oh man, it's one of these days where I got up early. I just woke up at 6 o'clock this morning, which I never do. And I went out and exercised, listening to Pantera as I do. And I don't know about the US, but in the UK, petrol prices, gasoline, it's a fucking nightmare right now.
Kidding me?
And and usually it goes up Thursday or Friday. Mm-hmm. So I'm up at 7 o'clock in the morning now. I've done my exercise. I thought, right, I'm going to go and get some diesel because I need it. And I know it's going to go up by the end of the week. So I go, and it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm blasting Pantera out of the car, 5 minutes alone around my small town. I felt like I think a good word to use would be a douchebag. No. But hey, it felt good to, ring out Pantera in this small conservative village, and it's a lot of fun. So another box tick. Nice. Idiot.
I was a douchebag today.
Yes. Not my finest moment, but it felt fun.
Yeah, once in a while when you make a pattern out of it. That's when
No, I'm not allowed to, but there's another story. But yes, just when I'm driving on my own. It's your next choice, isn't it?
No, I just
no. Oh, okay. I guess I will. I started off heavy, and I'm going to sort of lighten it towards the end. Where do I want to go with this? This will be a bit of a weird one. There's a band called Puppy.
Okay.
Like a dog. And they've been around in the UK for a while. They're from London. I saw them a couple of years ago when they supported CKY, which, as you know, is my favorite band, and they were supported, incidentally. And I was invited out to see Puppy again last week. It's the first show I've seen since COVID. And so many things to say about this band. I struggle to explain how they sound, which is not like you said with, is it Midnight Versus? Midnight Versus.
Night versus.
Night Versus. Like you said with them, it's very difficult to explain. So if I may, I'm going to read a very short passage from their Wikipedia. Right, so stay with me. I can't see your face, so you're going to make faces.
Oh,
Yeah, I know you're going to do that, right?
Mock you all the way through this.
Puppy's musical style has been categorized by critics as heavy metal, occult rock, and alternative metal. They are described by Spinefarm Records as combining left-field melodic turns of Weezer, the hazy fuzz of Smashing Pumpkins, and straight-to-the-bone sonics of the Big Four of thrash. The band members have stated their goal was to aim for something between Teenage Fan Club and Black Sabbath. And one last thing. Additionally, Metal Hammer, which is a magazine in the UK, has compared the band's musical style to Ghost waltzing with Deftones. So there's a lot in there. There's like Black Sabbath, Weezer, Deftones. They do, every song is different, but of a high musical degree. I stood there in the middle of the venue. It's a very small venue of about, I don't know, space for about 50 odd people, so it's not very big. And I don't like watching guitarists. I don't really like guitarists. No offense. I just don't, I like bass. I would usually stand in front of the bass player. Incidentally, I'm in front of the guitarist. He's singing and he's playing these really weird chords I've never seen before that I'm used to. Usually it's power chords or normal chords. I don't even know what they were, but again, very talented musicians. The guitarist, brilliant songwriting, compositions, sonically very good, very interesting. The drummer didn't miss a beat. He was fucking awesome. He had the problem of one volume, but his talents were good enough to ignore that. And the bassist, he was a good bassist. He had some good parts. And together, they were just really interesting to listen to. And for a lighter genre of music, Puppy ticks a lot of boxes. You have, like I said, hazy occult rock, Black Sabbath sludgy riffs, heavy metal, and some thrash in there. They're just a great go-to for anything you're in the mood for. So Puppy would be another band that I'd be listening to on my travels through my life.
Through my mini strokes.
Like I've been up since 6 o'clock. It's going on 10 now. It's getting on for me. Papa needs to go to bed. Let's go to bed now.
Oh, Lord.
So yes, Puppy. Like I said, their descriptions are weird, but yeah, they're worth a shot in my books.
Okay. Not bad. Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. I got nothing on that one.
No, it's like I said, I don't really know how wide they are outside of the UK. They played the Download Festival in 2018. I didn't know that. So they're not like some tiny indie band. They have some footing. They have a couple of albums out, and they were people. Like I said, they're from London. They played in Oxford, and they had fans there who knew their songs that were singing along. So they are known to a degree in the UK.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that one.
Mm.
So I guess that brings me back up. I think this one's probably going to be my my furthest left afield for a lot of people. This one. But basically, it's not this one. I can't classify album, but yeah, it would be a little. I just kind of have a mix of my favorites, but a band called Anthem. And
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, they are a Japanese metal band. They're the best way I can describe them is they are Japan's Judas Priest.
This sounds really familiar. Keep going.
They've been around for a long time, and like they're massive in Japan. Mm-hmm. And I'm honestly surprised they haven't caught on a little more outside of there. I mean, they play the biggest places everywhere there, and they've gone through a number of different, lineup changes and things like that. But their stuff is solid, and it's just good driving metal. It's like if you sat down and said, I just want to play some metal and hang out and do some stuff. It's like all the shit you would just want. Good driving grooves, classic stuff. You're not going to get taken off guard by too much. But, as the albums evolve, you do hear some new stuff, and each era has some different things. But yeah, I like putting them on, and, especially summertime, I'm out doing something or something that just seems to fit with it. And it probably has a bit of a tie-in for me because I discovered a lot of metal bands like that when I was touring. Did a couple tours of Japan and stuff, and I have a real affection for Japan and have some close friends over there and stuff. So, but for some reason, every tour I had got timed in that I was always in Japan during the summer.
Ah, cool.
Early summer every time. It was always like a June, July kind of thing. So there's a part of me that I think associates that time of year of like doing the flight and getting over there, and then, going to these clubs. And when, we're in between sets or something, that's what the guys are putting on. Like if you go, put it that way, it's that band. Like if you go to a club in Japan and you're going to see a couple metal bands, the music you hear in between, you are damn sure going to hear some anthem songs. You probably hear some loudness, some stuff like that and everything. But yeah, Anthem's like their priest. And yeah, just like their stuff. It's, I have no idea what the hell the guy's saying, but it's a universal language, and it's if you like like very central, no surprises, but good solid songwriting and classic metal, they're going to give it to you as good as anybody else.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do they sing in Japanese?
Yeah.
Okay. This is weird. Like they sound so familiar. I don't know why I'm bugging out with this. I'm sure I must have heard them before. How long have they been around?
Oh, it's got to be like 30 plus years.
I must have heard them. Yeah.
So they are the Japanese priest. It's like their legacy heavy metal band that's still going with like 2 original members or, something like that. They still do it, and they're fun live and stuff. And yeah, I like them.
I always find like Japanese metal bands have like the weirdest tragic history. Like they die, they come back, someone leaves, they come back, they get new members. Do you ever find that? It's like it is a bit like an anime in and of itself. There's just these wild stories.
It's all made up. It's just like some kabuki theater thing that they write themselves some kind of hero trajectory that they're on or something. I never really noticed that. That could be the case. I don't know. But yeah, it's awesome and beats the living shit out of baby metal.
Oh, on a tangent, they are just weird. And I just remembered that they have a wild fan base that I don't particularly want to upset. I'm sure you'd love to.
Whatever. I don't care.
Oh, we can talk about it another time.
I don't get it. I've said it 1,000 times. I don't get it. And it 100%. I'll say it on this side. God bless them. Do your thing. I don't care. But it's not anything that I would ever find appealing about metal. The guys who write the songs seem like decent songwriters. There's some cool riffs in there. Some of the musicians are obviously really good and talented at what they do. But what they're doing, I'm like, I just look at it like the Voice or Star Search of metal. It's like a very put together by the label. What's everything a Japanese audience might want? Let's do metal with guys dressed up in traditional Japanese outfits, and then weirdly kind of pedo little girly looking things with their tiny skirts on and stuff. I'm like, nah, this is getting a little Epstein for me, man. Yeah, I'm good. and these cutesy voices, and I'm good. I'm good. I don't begrudge them anything. I wish them all the success. If you're into that type of stuff, but to me, it seems like it's like a Nintendo game. It's all I
Yes.
keep thinking is like I'm watching a video game
Yeah.
meant for little kids, and it's like I'm not a
Yeah.
little kid. I want to hear a furious, person up here doing this. Cutesy is never an adjective I want in my metal. Do not put your peanut butter in my chocolate.
Kawaii metal. It just sounds like just contradictory in and of itself.
Yeah.
Cool metal. On the just a slight detour on that.
Mhm.
I agree pretty much. There's nothing I disagree with. This might be a good topic for another day. It's leading into metal being a lot more accepted generally in society. Where looking at your t-shirt, and I mentioned before we started speaking, before we start recording, Satanic Panic, massive, all the fingers are pointing at metal.
Mhm.
Metal is satanic, Dungeons and Dragons, all the fantasy stuff. We don't have that anymore. There's no danger about metal.
Yep.
Um,
That's why hip hop stole its crown. Period.
absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. And on the same vein, it, like you said, like you can't have baby metal being cool and cutesy. There's just no danger. It's just it doesn't fulfill that void of antagonistic energy for me. It's not antagonistic.
Well, just basic aggression.
Yeah.
Metal is aggressive.
Mm.
I don't think aggressive when I see little schoolgirls. It is quite literally the opposite. I feel like I need to help them across the street or make sure they get home okay.
No.
Yeah. Sorry, you're not going to win me with that one. Never going to do it. It's nope. Nope.
The last part of that is you mentioned, and I'm pretty sure I've heard this too. They had people writing their songs. I don't know whether they contributed, helped, or whatever. But now you're leaning. Okay, it's wrong to call them metal, but we have this metal-esque performance act with people writing songs for them. Again, that's not metal. You write your own songs in metal. You don't need help. Yeah. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's supposed to be your aggression. I'm hearing what you do and your voice.
Yeah.
That's what separates it again from pop. Pop is a product. Metal is not. And both of them have their place, but calling something baby metal, it's like, okay, is this metal for babies? That's what it seems like. It's like, this is how I would introduce metal to like a 6-year-old.
Right.
Seeing, I'm sure this is going to get all kinds of fun thrown at us, but when I see a grown-ass man who's into baby metal, like I give him the stink eye.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know that I'd trust you around my kids, dude. You're not babysitting anybody. Nah. Like, yeah. But when you like this, no. And little girls in short skirts bouncing around and dancing during your metal thing. Like, nah, you spent too much time at home in your mom's basement without a date. You should not have gotten this far into adulthood and still had this kind of thing going on. Like I said, it just all smells a little Epstein to me.
Yeah.
Nope. Not my thing, but that's a derailment.
Yep, sorry about that.
Go Anthem.
Anthem, yes, I will check that out. Anthem, you done Anthem. I have. Which one do I want to take? I'm going to choose CKY, The Phoenix. You can debate that CKY has some metal elements. CKY has been a weird one. I don't know how much you know or have read about them. I find them, even as like they're my favorite band, I find them hard to put into a box. I don't know where to put them. I guess you would just say they're kind of rock, but the sound, I don't know. The sound is different. It's rock metal rock. I don't know. So that's why they're still on my list of metal, because I would always consider them more of a metal band than rock. Like metal, I don't know. CKY for me, they are my favorite band. And the album I'm looking at is The Phoenix, which is their last one that came out. This one is a bit more, I guess you would say, radio friendly. It's a lot more typical in songwriting, mainstream music, not in a bad way. It's just, again, like we said about being comfortable. It's just comfortable songs. You don't have to think about it. Audio wallpaper, maybe to a degree. It's just something to have on in the background that feels light and summery to enjoy the weather. I don't know what your history is with CKY.
I really have one. It's one of those bands I'm aware of. I've heard them on the radio. I honestly couldn't remember the songs because it was way back when they were on the radio.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was also during an era when I was doing a lot of work and I just wasn't paying that much attention to stuff. They were around LA. I was there, and yeah, it's just one of those things where we didn't travel in the same circles.
Mm-hmm.
They were very much in, like, for some reason, I can't get it out of my head that, like, there's some kind of thing of, like, CKY and the guys in Jackass, and just like this crew of people.
Yeah, they were
run together. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like I was not a part of that. So it was like if you were around it, I was generally not going to give you a lot of time. So that's the limit to my exposure of it. And I was like, why did they rip off the Ozzy logo?
I know, yeah. Oh, don't look at Puppy Logo. Puppy Logo done the same thing. Very strange. Yeah, I was in college, like in the early 2000s, and I was wearing a CKY shirt, and my lecturer come up to me, "What are you wearing?" So, "Oh, CKY. They ripped off Ozzy Osbourne." So, what? So yeah, totally. So, an old metalhead lecturer.
Like, seriously.
Yeah, it was
Calvin Klein or something.
CK Skin to You or something like that. Yeah, I got like a tiny bottle, and I always called it CKY. It's fucking ridiculous. But yeah, like you said, they were in that Jackass circle, and I am a fan of that Jackass humor. I watched the movies over the weekend, just like in parts, and it's still cracking me up. And I'm a 30-something-odd-year-old man. I'm still laughing at dick jokes and punching each other in the balls. Hey, it's
sounds like something you listen to some baby metal with.
So yes, CKY. It's a lighter choice. Yeah, that's what I would recommend for the summer. Something non-committal.
Okay. Uncommittal. Sounds like all my relationships. Yeah, I like I said, I'd have to investigate that one just because I've heard you mention it a couple of times. And like I said, it was very much over here with, the crew I was running with, and we were both around in LA at the time.
Yeah. What I will say is, like I said, they're not metal as you would define, or I presume like. For me, my appeal for them, their appeal to me, that'd be fucking weird. Their appeal to me is the octave pedal. They use an OC2. Their guitar riffs, they appeal to me as a bass player because it sounds like a weird bass guitar because they use an octave pedal on their guitars. It's not straight up electric guitar. It's somewhere in the middle of bass and guitar, and that's what I like about it. I've mentioned before, I don't like the sound of normal guitar, especially like Strats, clean Strats. I can't stand that shit. I'm fine with like humbuckers that go chug chug chug. Chug 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 is fine, but clean Strats I can't fucking stand. Ching ching ching, can't do that. So the octave pedal for CKY is what does it for me. It's this dimension of bass and guitar riffing. I don't know. It's just, like I said, it's difficult to describe, but that's the appeal for me. If you want to take away the cultural baggage they have. It's the octave pedal that does it for me.
Okay. Interesting hook there.
Mm.
I think then for my last one, wrap up on it will be Flotsam and Jetsam, Blood in the Water. Their most recent album, and I keep like listening to it, then I put it down. Then I listen to it, I put it down. But it's because it's just solid. You know, it's almost like I keep wanting to go, well, I've always liked Flotsam. They put out a good number of bands, and like, am I giving them too much the benefit of the doubt? And every time I go back, I'm like, no, this is a damn solid album. Like, it's the best effort they put out in a while. It's produced and engineered well while still maintaining that aggression. And it was critically even really well acclaimed. I think it's unfortunately kind of gone under a lot of thrash guys' radar. It came out and people went like, I think that because it came out and then Exodus came out right after it and stuff, it kind of got lost in the shuffle as far as promotion. I think they got a little hosed on promotion too, because I just didn't see that much of it. But I mean, if you ever liked them, or if you like the more melodic edge of thrash and speed, it's great shit. Right up there. I mean, I could see appeal from fans who maybe are into Halloween.
Yeah.
And on the other side of things like just early Megadeth or something like that. They've got that great combination of, they're not so melodic that you start to go, nah, but they're not so kind of over the top with the heavy that it's not solid songwriting. And every time I go back and give it a listen, I'm like, why did it take me this long to get back to this album? This is good stuff. Yeah, they're all in top form. And yeah, I think Flotsam is actually a really underrated metal band. I think that because they really got kind of pigeonholed into that, the band that Jason Newsted used to be in.
Yeah.
Type of thing, that everything winds up going back to Newsted and people don't stay and focus on them. And yeah, they've got a number of really good albums. And I think Blood in the Water is the best one they've done in a long time. Solid start to finish. And it's not just a couple of songs, like, banging all the way through. So yeah, it fits that thing I'm usually looking for of like, I want to hear solid thrash and stuff. I'd like to hear something new, but I don't want to hear people who've watered it down or people I know are doing the pose. And it's like when we talked about the Bay Area tour, it's like these guys are still doing it. They're the OG, thrash scene type of thing. They have a distinct sound, which I like too. It's like they don't quite sound like anybody. And that keeps my ear kind of, it's something new, a little treat. And they write good songs. They're structured well, as much as you want a hook in metal. They give that type of thing. And solid musical performances. So it kind of fits that thing of, it's familiar enough because I know them and I'm into thrash that I can just kind of jam along to it, but I'm also going to get little pieces.
Right.
Some things are going to jump out at me. So it can be background music, but I'm going to get something cool out of it that's going to pull my attention once in a while. So
that's a really good take on them. And you've mentioned them a lot, and I really need to spend a lot more time listening to them because I haven't done in the past. Like you say, I always knew them as the band that Jason Newsted left, and I think it's left a mark, not like a negative mark, but it's just sort of like a point people keep bringing up that has no value to the conversations. Like, so what? He left. We're still the band and whatever, and that's kind of negatively impacted them a little bit.
Yeah.
That's where I first heard of them, when I was doing my Jason Newsted videos. Oh, that's Jason Newsted's first band, old band, whatever. But yeah, going back to it, that sounds right up my alley. Because I guess I would kind of lean into melodic stuff most of the time. I want something a bit more easy listening to. And, if I'm in a foul mood or need to raise my blood pressure a bit, I'll go for something a bit heavier. But so it's nice to have that choice.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's, yeah, like I said, there's enough on both sides that I can, if I don't want something so melodic, it's not so melodic that it gets me.
Yeah.
If I don't want something that's just ass beating heavy at that minute and it's just good structured songwriting, it's not so far in that direction either that, I can't keep pace with it. It's just very kind of high and low pass metal. It's like those edges are trimmed out and you get just enough out of each side to get what you need out of it.
I like that. Yeah, that works for me. Yeah, I will listen to them. I know you keep recommending them. That's on my to-do list.
Yeah, just check out the title track on that one. It'll tell you all you need to know.
Yeah, awesome. Are they still around? Oh, they are. Was that a new album?
Yeah, just came out. That's what I mean. Like they came out. It came out shortly before the new Exodus did.
Yeah,
and I feel like that kind of, pushed them out a little bit as far as like what was the hot new thrash album.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, they should have picked that release date a little better, but fucking solid. Absolutely.
Awesome.
If they come to town, I'm going to be there for sure.
That's my homework. Right, you're on.
Yep.
I'll listen to it.
All right. So I think that's give it a chunk for you guys to check out. I insist that you do. If you do not, you are banished, your metal card revoked for the entire summer. So, yeah, so check that stuff out. If you are on YouTube or any place where we are streaming everywhere and you can leave comments, let us know what your picks are, what you think of the list, if you discovered something new. And yeah, I think that's going to put this one to bed for the time being. I am Rodney McGee. I can be found at, again, Rodney McGee on YouTube and on, of course, the Rodney and Alfie Talk Metal main page.
And you will find me, Alfie Williams, on YouTube if you type in Witchbase. And like Rodney said, there is no excuse to not listening to us on any podcasting platform. We are everywhere. And as Rodney told me earlier in the week, and we see everything.
We do. Like what you're doing right now, you filthy human being.
Put down the baby metal.
Absolutely, yeah. And I know you were listening to it while you did that, didn't you? God. In any case, that's it for this week, you sickos. See you next time.
Bye.